Okay, here we are, chapter 8.3, Connecting Fractions to Division, and I think that you'll like this. It's pretty neat. We start with the idea that there's a teacher who hands out construction paper to students to share, and she gives 3 students 2 pieces of paper. So we have 3 students, but they have to share 2 pieces of paper, which shows us a division problem: 2 papers divided by 3 people. And this is a little bit hard to do because the 3 is bigger than the 2. So we know that they can't each get a whole piece of paper. They have to get less than a whole piece of paper. So we're going to divide our paper into thirds because there are 3 students. So each student is going to get 1/3 of the piece of paper. Okay, student number 1 gets 1 piece from this. Student number 2, I've got the wrong tool going again. Student number 2 gets a piece, and student number 3 gets a piece. But then we move on to this paper. Student number 1 gets a piece, student number 2 gets a piece, and student number 3 gets a piece. So student number 1 actually gets 2 of these little pieces of paper that are 1/3. So it's really kind of like 2 times 1/3, which is equal to 2/3. And I hope that makes sense. But if number 1 gets 1/3 and they get 1/3 of this, that ends up being 2/3. So 2 times 1/3 is 2/3. And what we want you to understand, and this is kind of where we're going with this lesson, is that 2 divided by 3 is the same as 2 over 3, the fraction 2/3. And this is a combination you need to see, and you need to see how it happens, and we're going to see it over and over. But to prove it, let's work backwards. Let's do a multiplication problem, which would be the opposite of 2 divided by 3 equals 2/3. So we would do 2/3 times 3, and that is the same as 2 times 3 is 6 over 3 times 1 is 3. 6 over 3 is the same as 2, and that is the same as what we had over here. So we can see that it is true. Let's try a second problem. This is a little different. There are 4 friends this time, and they are sharing 6 granola bars. Okay, so if we draw the granola bars, there's 6 of them. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And what I have is 6 granola bars that are being shared by 4 friends. So that's, no, it's not box. That's 6 divided by 4. So, how do I make that work using a picture? Well, I have to cut each granola bar into 4 slices. So I cut it in half, and then I cut each half in half. Cut it in half, cut each half in half. And I get 4 slices per granola bar, 4 pieces of granola bar that are all about the same size. And each of my 4 friends is going to take 1 piece from each granola bar. And I think you can see that if one person comes along, say Mr. Orange comes along, and he takes this one and this one, 1 piece from each granola bar, he ends up with 6 pieces that are 1/4 sized. So 6 1/4 pieces. You could say that's like 1/4 plus 1/4 plus, it's supposed to be plus, not times, plus 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that equals 6/4. So you can see that. And then we have to simplify that. 6/4 is the same as 1 2/4, which is the same as 1 1/2. So they get 1 1/2 granola bars each. And I think that makes sense. Can we go backwards? Could we figure out if 6/4 times 4 is equal to 6? This would be working backwards, just to check our work. Well, let's try. What happens when you multiply 6 times 4? You get 24 4 over 4. And 24 fourths, 4 goes into 24 6 times. So yes, it does work. And that's kind of what you're going to do with everything. Let's look at one more real quick. This one is in your practice book. 3 girls share 8 yards of fabric. So 3 girls share 8 yards of fabric. That's 8 yards divided by 3 girls. Now sometimes you have to really think about it. 3 girls are sharing 8 yards. So you start with the 8 yards and you cut it into 3 groups for the 3 girls. Alright, so that looks like, if we just change it, that's 8 thirds. And then if we simplify, 3 goes into 8 2 times, which is 6, with 2 thirds left over. So each girl gets 2 2/3 yards of fabric. So this is what it looks like in quick motion without having to draw pictures. Let's do one more. 10 boys share 7 cereal bars. So 10, we'll go ahead and write it out. Boys share 7 cereal bars. Not cereals, cereal bars. I guess those are kind of like granola bars too. That's just, that's just what the problem in the book says. So there's 10 boys and they're sharing 7 cereal bars. So that's really 7 cereal bars divided by 10 boys. Now see, here we had 8 yards of fabric divided by 3 people, and we got this number that was bigger than 1. Each girl got more than 1 yard of fabric. In fact, they almost got 3 yards each. If this had been a 9 divided by 3, it would have worked out nicely into 3 yards each. But it wasn't. But here we have more boys than cereal bars, so it kind of goes the other direction. And that ends up being 7/10. And believe it or not, you're just done. You don't get quite a whole cereal bar. You get 7/10 of a cereal bar. And my pen keeps not working. Anyway, that's what you do. Just keep doing it that way.